Hello, Virgo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general tarot reading for Virgo for the week of September 28th through October 4th. Try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Virgo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. All right, 10 of Wands, your current situation. I feel that a lot of you are feeling kind of an overwhelm in life, okay? This is a card of a lot of responsibility, a lot of burden, okay? This is like carrying a very heavy load. Some of you may be wondering, why am I carrying this? Where am I going again? Right? It's so far away from the Ace of Wands that it's possible some of you forgot why you're even out here, okay? For some of you, this is saying, look, I know why I'm carrying all these wands. I know what it's for, and I'm going to get to my destination before I burn out, right? For some of you, you're already feeling the burnout, okay? This is a really heavy load. I feel like this is a week where you're really kind of like you're feeling weighed down by this effort. The message of this card is that maybe you need to lighten the load. You don't need to carry all of it, okay? Or maybe this is a card that's saying, you know, this week it would be very important for you to reconnect with the why, okay? Get some refreshment with the water energy. The water is kind of like the, why am I doing this? Oh yeah, I remember now. And we sort of are able to get a surge of strength, you know. This could also be a card that's saying this week it might be a good idea to ask for help, to ask for assistance. Okay. This might be the week where you realize that you're in sort of an unfair power dynamic somewhere in your life. Okay. Some of you might be waking up to that fact like, hey, why am I carrying everything and you're not carrying anything at all? That's not fair, right? So it could be that kind of a week for you as well. But I think also this card is saying that we might be on the home stretch somewhere. Yeah. That if we can find a way to make it these last few meters, or feet if you're an American like me, then, or yards, I guess, then maybe this will work, okay? So how do we keep pushing? How do we not just break down? Because the last thing we want to do is burn out, okay? So this is a week of avoiding burnout, but also continuing to make progress. Let's put this card into some context. And let's see what's going on here. Now we have a 10 of Pentacles. Look at that. So yeah, it's really, I mean, I think that's the important thing to remember is that we're so close to the goal now. We don't want to stop. We don't want to slow down, I don't think. Okay. There we have the Magician. We have a 3 of Swords. We have a 3 of Cups, though, too. And we have that Devil energy. Okay. We have a Queen of Wands. We have a 4 of Wands. We have a 7 of Swords. Yeah, that makes sense. And finally, we have a Queen of Swords. So interesting energy. I really am loving the 10 and 10 here with a 3 of Cups above it. I mean, that is really showing like that we're a lot closer to our goal than we realize. I think a lot of you are in that final like home stretch kind of push to where if we can make it these last few yards, right, then everything is going to work out perfectly, okay? And that 3 of Cups, that of course, that's celebration. That is just, that's a wonderful kind of, you know, it's that feeling where you get to set down everything you've been carrying and you get to just relax and drink all the water or apple cider that you want and to really just kind of bask in the glory of like that harvest, right? So I think for this week, a lot of you are going to experience that harvest, but only if we can prevent the burnout, okay? So that's kind of the name of the game this week. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down right over here with Mr. Tao, the yin-yang duck, right there on top. And now we're not going to name the eternal name until the very end of the reading, but that card will tie everything together and give us our confirmation. If at any moment during the message you feel like you might know what that card is, put a prediction in the comments. Yeah, just go on ahead and do it. All right, let's look around the room here. We have our two majors. We have the Magician and the Devil cards, kind of like figuring out a strategy to keep climbing up the mountain. We got to keep ourselves motivated here, okay? We've got fire and fire. You've got water, and this water feels like this is the carrot in front of the horse. You know, this is what you're thirsting after, and this is what's kind of keeping you going, it feels like. Okay. We have air, air, and air, and of course we have our earth energy right here in the middle. And I think like this week, what's going to help you, because this is the second card, this is usually like a helping card, could be a challenge, but this is the card of like the bigger picture, okay? So regardless of your situation, regardless of the power dynamic or how much of a load you're carrying or what the burden is or what your responsibilities are, I think this week it's going to be important for you to keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on your long-term results, the abundance that you're creating. Think of the big picture. What are you building? This is your high-def version, high-def vision of what you're building. This is your best life. This is the details. Like you can see high def. You can see the fibers on the shag carpet. Okay, you can see the bubbles in the wallpaper with this high def kind of vision. So this is about you knowing exactly what you're creating, why you're carrying all this. This is all the lumber you're carrying. This is what you're building with it. So in a way, I think that this week is going to be really about staying motivated to continue the work that you're doing, because I think you're much closer than you think to the success. This is a card of wealth, stability, and legacy. Real stability, not the phony stability of the Four of Pentacles, right? Everybody says Four of Pentacles, you're creating lasting wealth. No, it's temporary. The Four of Pentacles are resources that come in, but then you spend them again, okay? The fours are safety, security, and stability, but on an impermanent basis, okay? Its energy sort of tending or trending toward change. But the 10 is a complete picture. This is legacy. This is long-term results, okay? So I think for a lot of you, this is really what's helping you to keep going in your life. Knowing that you're creating something lasting, knowing that this is something that's going to live beyond you. This is something that's going to help other people maybe. This is something that is going to be there for your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' kids' kids. This is something that maybe is you're leaving behind for the world after you're gone. Okay, you're building this kind of legacy. This is the bigger picture for you. And so the cards seem to be suggesting that this week it's really going to be helpful for you to consider the big picture. Consider what you're building as a way of staying motivated, okay? As a way of continuing to push. We still have to worry about burnout, okay? So I think that it's still important that you do the work of the 10 of Wands as well. So let's revisit that card real quick. Ask for help. Drink some water. Pay attention to your body. Stop burning the candle at both ends. If you're working 12 or 24-hour days, maybe you go to bed a little earlier, right? And so it's obvious things, right? We don't want to burn out, and so think of the bigger picture. And if you're considering the bigger picture, you're more likely to take care of yourself so that this doesn't, so that you don't fall short of the goal. You're just a couple of feet away, and then we collapse. No, we don't want that. Okay. We also don't want to celebrate too early either. Okay, we've all seen those videos on YouTube, right? Someone thinks they've won the race and they start showboating already, and then someone zooms right past them. Or they fall and stumble, and then it's all gone, right? So it's kind of like, stay focused, stay sharp, stay strong, okay? But figure out how you can sustain your effort, because you're almost there. So if that means asking for help, if that means slowing down a little bit so that you can stay consistent, okay, well, that might be an option, okay? Or if it's really a matter of just kind of reconnecting with why you're doing this and what you are creating, That's going to give you that motivation to keep pushing. Yeah. I feel like for a lot of you, there is a creative project that's coming to a conclusion. There is a business thing that's arriving. There's some kind of a harvest coming in with this Ten of Pentacles. And I feel that for probably all of you, this is something that is bigger than you. It's something bigger than maybe what you thought it would ever be. Okay? This is maybe like maybe it was like a long shot, right, that you took, and I think it's working. Under the surface here, this is what's in your heart. This is kind of your inner truth, and it's the Magician. This is your skill. This is your communication. This is a week for you to use all of your hidden talents. This is a week for you to schmooze and to shake hands and to negotiate and to compromise and to make deals. It's really a wheeling and dealing kind of card. And I think this is really like, this is the card's way of saying use every tool in your toolbox to keep going, to get things done. Okay? This is a very intelligent card, a very adaptable energy. This is a card that can talk to people. This is the card that can say, hey, you help me carry all this lumber and I'll make sure that that you get taken care of. And I think it's genuine. I think it's sincere. It's coming from inside of you. So this is like really dig deep and find every tool you have inside that's going to help you to keep going. So get creative, okay? Make things happen. The Magician is the one that can cause change in conformity with their will. And what is that? Well, it's the art and science of manifestation. Summon your inner magician in order to bring fire down to earth, which is this is the creative process. Right? Fire and earth is that spiritual electrical circuit of creation. The Magician is the conductor of that. So it's like you're the one that's orchestrating all the energy that's going to materialize as this concrete dream come true. Okay? You have to take the initiative. You have to use your skills. You have to communicate. Use your talents. Negotiate. Make things happen. You have a lot of tools. You need to speak. You need to act. You need to create. All your thoughts, words, and deeds. Like pull out all the stops this week. Okay? Whatever it is that needs to be done that will allow you to keep going. Okay? And because this is kind of, this is under the surface, this is kind of in your heart, I think it really is showing that like you really want this to succeed. And I think you want it to succeed not just because of like what it's going to actually do or what it's going to be, but I think that you want this to work just sort of like to be able to prove to yourself that like you were capable of doing it, that it wasn't too hard for you. Yeah. So I think it's kind of like it's a way of you proving your own creative abilities. Yeah. And it's requiring you to adapt and to kind of change your shape, learn new skills, and to put yourself in situations, talk to people in a capacity that maybe you weren't used to. Maybe you had to take on a leadership role, or you had to learn a lot of different skills that really weren't in your wheelhouse. Okay, so it's kind of like saying, dig deep and realize that you can do everything that's required of you to get this done. Or you can find a way to get it done. It's either you have the skills already, or you can acquire them. You have the resources you need now, or you can get them. Okay, and I think that's a really powerful sort of belief in yourself. This is your inner magician that's rising to the occasion. Okay, and so this is that inner truth, and this is that feeling like I can. I know how to do it, and I can create this. Yeah. So I like that. Now, in the fourth position, this is last week. This is some unfinished business. This is maybe the recent past. It's something that's still lingering in your life. It's a Three of Swords. It's a sorrow. It's a heartbreak. Okay. It is it's a Saturn in Libra. So this might be that there's been some change in a relationship for you. And that might explain why you're feeling some of the effects of that with that Ten of Wands. Because maybe this is Well, it could be a coworker, it could be a friend, a family member, it could be a collaborator, it could be a lover, a romantic partner that has distanced themselves from you and has left you with a larger share of the workload. Okay? I mean, this could be something simple like, last week somebody called out sick to work and left you stuck pulling their weight. Okay? This could be very simple explanation here. But this was, I think, last week you experienced some challenge. You experienced a little bit of disappointment or even some heartbreak or some sorrow, okay? And I think it's still lingering. Like what happened last week is now making this week feel overloaded or overwhelmed, that 10 of Wands being an overwhelmed energy, okay? So whatever happened last week, I think it's important that you kind of let it go. That you just say, hey, it was last week, it's water under the bridge, I need to focus on the goal here, and I need to get back to it. Because what we want to focus on instead is that 3 of Cups, not this 3 of Swords. Yeah, because the 3 of Swords, to me, it feels like it's already happened, and maybe because it happened, you're feeling overwhelmed with a lot of emotions, maybe a lot more responsibility. This could be something like, you had a roommate and suddenly they just up and left you holding the bag, right? Left you with all the bills to pay. Now, we could either continue looking at this 3 of Swords and saying, how dare you do that to me, and look now what I have to do, and we could spend a lot of time wagging our finger at this card. It's not going to change the reality that, hey, you've got all this on your shoulders now. So this could be, again, it could be a lover that just decided to break up with you. And now that's just adding all of this overwhelming emotional energy to what you're already stressed out about. It could be the roommate that just decides to, just to leave, to move out in the middle of the night and not pay you the rent for the week or the month, or to, pay their share of the bills. And now you've got to make up all that. It could be someone that called out sick from work. It could be one of your employees that just decided to quit. Okay? Whatever happened last week, getting, attached to it and angry with it and frustrated with it and thinking about it a lot or yelling at it is not going to help you to solve the problem, right? What's going to help you to solve the problem is to summon your inner magician, right? Pull out all the stops, figure out everything that you need to do, gather all your resources, all your tools together and figure it out. Get creative, use your ingenuity, be adaptable and elastic, right? And also to perhaps ask for some help, okay? And maybe you don't find it too easy to ask for help, but you have options now to continue going toward this goal. And I think that you're still going to get here. This is going to arrive. This is coming in this week, okay? Keeping your eye on that bigger picture. But it's important that we let last week be last week. Now, maybe it wasn't exactly last week, but this is the position of the spread. It was fairly recent. But staying attached to this is just adding to your burden, if that makes sense, okay? So it's not helping you. So I feel like this needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be let go of. We don't want to ruminate on this. We certainly don't want to stay attached to this. We don't want to keep reliving this moment, because that's all time, effort, energy, money, and space that we could be devoting to building this legacy. And you know what? You're putting in 110% of the effort, you're going to get 110% of the reward. So if this was a person in your life that's decided to remove themselves, well, good riddance, okay? Now, the next card, though, is your conscious goals. This is what's on your mind. This is kind of what you're hoping for and what you want. For a lot of you, this is going to be the joy and the celebration of accomplishing the goal, or the wish, or the dream, or this work project, or this financial project, or whatever the 10 of Pentacles is. This is that celebration, okay? We're sort of, we're hoping for the dream to come true. And I think for some of you, you're kind of hoping for, someone to celebrate with, okay? And I feel that with the 3 of Swords, maybe it feels like now you're kind of just going to be toasting to yourself as you get to the goal. And hey, maybe that's okay, right? This is a card of friendship. This is a card of joy. And I think that you're really hoping that there will be someone there at the finish line for you to celebrate with you. And I feel like there will be, Okay? I feel that, I feel that even with that Three of Swords back there, there's still a lot of people that love you and care about you and want to celebrate your wins with you. Okay? I think that you're hoping this week is going to see the success. I think a lot of you are sort of crossing your fingers that like this is the week that you get to this goal, and this is the week that there's going to be a lot of celebration. This is a socializing kind of card, and maybe this is what you were kind of expecting the week to be, yeah. And I think for some of you, it might be that we were sort of expecting this to be an easy week, but it seems with that Ten of Wands that it's not going to be necessarily easy. But I think it's going to be much more productive than you thought, okay? It could be. For some of you, we could look at it this way and we can say that maybe you thought that last week you were going to get the goal, the thing, that it was going to work, that you were going to get the finish line last week. But you didn't get it last week, okay? And so I feel like this is the week that it's coming in. So I feel like there's been that kind of either a delay or a disappointment for some of you. The Three of Cups is kind of showing that like when you do get this harvest, this reward, this joy, this abundance in your life, I feel like it's important that you do share it with the people around you, okay? And you kind of use it as a way to bond with the people around you, okay? Because I don't feel like you're an island. I feel like even though you have that Three of Swords, I feel like there's still a lot of people around you, and I feel that you are going to be celebrating this week. Okay, I feel like this is for a lot of you, this is going to be a big harvest, a lot of abundance coming in that is helping you to establish this larger legacy, okay? And this might be a week really of that kind of bonding and a shared happiness. Even though I feel like the instinct there is kind of like you want to keep it for yourself because, you did all the work. And like I said, 110% effort, you get 110% of the reward. Yeah, but I feel like you're going to want to share that reward with, friends and family to sort of, just to amplify the joy, right? Joy is going to grow when we share with others, right? I think this is a lot of gratitude. I think a lot of you are feeling the weight of having to do something by yourself, but I feel like you're going to be singled out for recognition because of those efforts, okay? So I feel that this is kind of a card to me of like you really being like lifted up as the MVP. Yeah, I feel like you're coming out as the MVP here. And I think that's going to be a really wonderful thing for you. But this is kind of like, this is, what's on your mind. This is what you're thinking about. And I think maybe in a way it's saying, let's not think too much about the goal. Let's instead listen to what's coming from inside of us and figure out how to get there. So it's kind of like, don't celebrate yet. Yeah? Because if this is already on your mind, but what your situation is a Ten of Wands, it's kind of saying like, we're celebrating before we've actually crossed the finish line, okay? So just know that all this glory, all this joy is going to be there, but let's stay focused on the task at hand, okay? Now, the devil energy in this future position, this is the energy that's going into next week. It's like the end of the week and into next week, near future, okay? And this, right away, I think this is the GOAT. This is the greatest of all time. I feel like this is you kind of standing on the summit of the mountain and kind of like looking back and realizing that, yeah, maybe there was some hiccups along the way. Maybe you started out with a team, but then you ended up just as a lone mountain goat, right? And Virgo, I don't think you mind that necessarily, But I feel like this may be towards the end of the week and going into the following week. This is going to be your appreciation of yourself. This is going to be you really realizing that you kicked some butt and that you had to do it in, let's say, adverse conditions. You had to do it with little or no help from anybody else. Okay? That the life that you're building, the mountain that you've climbed, you did it with your strength, your power, your resources, your motivation, your magic, right? I think that it's important for you to recognize that and appreciate that about yourself. Okay? So I feel that towards the end of the week, there's going to be this realization that you don't actually need anybody else to help you or to do it with you. Yeah? And so I feel like this is kind of, in a way, I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a test to see how well you are, to see how well you're able to rely on your own power, stand on your own feet, you know, and climb the mountain even when it's maybe who you thought was going to be by your side is not there anymore. You know, so whatever you're kind of overcoming this week, I think is going to make you feel really proud of yourself. Yeah, it may be a week of feeling tested. Okay, and staying driven. This is the engine of the car. Yeah, and I feel that it's kind of this recognition that your motivation was enough to get you to the top of the mountain, that you didn't need anybody else carrying part of the weight. Does that make sense? It's also important with the Devil card that toward the end of the week, you don't isolate yourself. Now, Virgo, you're the hermit. You have a tendency to do that. We don't have the hermit card here, but you have a tendency to isolate. So make sure that you don't do that. You take pride in what you're accomplishing, but you share that win with the people around you. Share it with your friends, your family, your pets, your plants, your people, right? Don't isolate yourself, because I think joy is meant to be shared, and joy feels better when we do it with other people, right? Because the goat can be a solitary animal. If it has to climb the mountain by itself, it will. Likes to do it with other goats, but you know. I think also towards the end of the week, you might be, again, getting that recognition for really going above and beyond, like someone who just was able to succeed despite the odds. You know, I feel like this is kind of you, again, getting that MVP sort of recognition towards the end of the week. Okay, so October 3rd, 4th, 5th, you know, that sort of transitional time frame. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the Queen of Wands here as your sort of general energy. I feel like this is like a real confidence. You know, this is somebody that kind of says, look, I don't need anybody else. Yeah. I think maybe this really is that week for you where you are through some, you know, twist of fate, through some kind of adverse circumstances. This is a week where you're going to have to stand up on your own feet and be bold and be strong and do what you need to do and get things done and really have a break with the past. Like, you know, an abrupt, like, I'm not going to worry about it right now. So it's kind of connecting us with our Three of Swords. It's saying whatever happened last week, the Queen of Wands has already forgotten about it. What Three of Swords? I'm not even there. I'm focused here, right? The Queen of Wands loves the Ten of Wands, loves to be tested, loves to be challenged. Yeah, give me more, you know? And so I feel that this is a card that's kind of telling you to not linger on the past, stay focused in the present, and rise to the occasion, face the challenge that's ahead of you, whether it's financial or something at work or if it's at home. Kind of whatever this burden is that you're carrying right now. This Queen of Wands is basically saying, put another board on my back. Give me another stick to carry, you know. I don't think we actually want that, you know. But I feel that this is, it's a good time for you to assert your capabilities, to stand up and to realize how powerful you are, okay? I think it's a time for confidence, but not arrogance. It's a time for, you know, really rolling up your sleeves and getting the final few yards, you know, accomplished here. in order for you to then have that ability to say, you know, hey, look, I did it, right? This is a figure that really commands respect. I feel like your presence, your accomplishment here, again, kind of going with that MVP status, feels like people are going to be looking at you and thinking, wow, like your accomplishments this week are going to inspire others. Yeah, this is someone that has a kind of magnetic authority. People want to be led by you, you know. It's kind of a reminder, too, I think, that this week, if you are doing work in a group context, it's important for you to stay compassionate and understanding of others, but at the same time being strong and being a leader and being, you know, very influential over other people, okay? You're kind of commanding respect, but people also, like, they want to follow you, okay? Because they know that there's a depth to you, okay? It's not just a tyrant kind of energy. So I don't know, if maybe this week is you kind of proving yourself, proving your capability, and then maybe moving into the next week and the week after, you might see a kind of leadership role or a new position sort of open up for you, okay? Because I feel like this week is really going to do a lot for your confidence and for your self-reliance and for your capabilities, okay? And I feel that you are sort of inspiring other people to, you know, it's kind of like people are going to see what you're accomplishing and they're saying, well, maybe I can do it too. You know, maybe. I should at least try, right? So I think that this is really, this is a week for not complaining about our circumstances, not being so attached to the challenging Three of Swords thing that happened, but to prove our strength and step up to the challenge and get it done, right? The next card we have, too, is a Four of Wands. This is a card of completion. Okay, this is in your environment, right? Relationships and people and your environment. This is completion. This is it's harmony and celebration as well, okay? And this is kind of saying that, like, what you've started out over here, the effort that you're putting in here, the tests that you're facing, the burden, the load that you're carrying, I feel like this week you're going to get a chance to rest. There's going to be a kind of pause, okay? Because this is now, I think, celebrating of a win. There's also, really, it's a card of popularity, too. So I feel that for a lot of you, this is going to be the week where you're really getting noticed for your hard work, okay? Especially your hard work in the face of challenging circumstances. But instead of complaining and whining, right, you stepped up. You got it done, okay? You got it to a point where you could then rest, okay? Because again, the fours are temporary, right? So this is a wheel that's going to keep turning again. Okay, this isn't the end of the road, this isn't the end of your journey, but this is saying that you're accomplishing something and you should celebrate it. And of course it means that, you know, later on there's going to be more work to do. I think it's going to be a spiral. I think that you're kind of you're proving yourself in some way now that's going to open up the next higher level of creative work for you. Whether we're talking in your creative work or in your job, your career, your business, or whatever enterprise you're involved with, okay? I think people are going to be noticing you as someone that can get things done. Yeah. This is also, this is a card that's saying, like, this is that week of hard work, but the hard work that leads to the accomplishment. So I think that there is relief coming, there is comfort, and there is the enjoyment of the progress that you're making. I don't feel like this is you taking a pause necessarily in this larger picture, but I do feel like you're reaching some kind of a milestone this week in something that you're doing, okay? And again, this card kind of with that popularity aspect to it, I feel that you're getting something done despite the adverse conditions, okay? Despite the Three of Swords, you're getting something done anyway, And I think people are going to notice, and I think it's going to be very, it's going to feel good. It's going to really boost that confidence that we're talking about. The Seven of Swords is in the position of the hopes or fears, and this is a card of distraction. This is a card of criticism. This is a card of, kind of paying too much attention to what everybody else is looking at, feeling that the eyes maybe are on you, right? Or even, really dealing with the feelings that things would be easier if I were doing something else, okay? Getting distracted by the Three of Swords, okay? Because what is a 7 plus a 3? A 10. Ruin, collapse, right? Shattering of the plan. So we don't want that. If the 7, if you are distracted by what happened last week, this week's going to be a disaster. Okay, so that's a very important point that I think these cards are making. You got to focus on what you're doing right now, and don't worry about whatever anybody else is doing. Don't worry about what other opinions are. Don't worry about what you think people are saying about you. Right? This is a week for you not to get distracted. Okay, and that's why this is in that kind of that unwanted position of your fears, worries, concerns, things to be avoided, basically, right? And it's basically, this card is saying, avoid distractions, okay? Don't let anything hold you back right now, okay? Nothing has to be an obstacle for you that you can't overcome. So if somebody just kind of gave up, if somebody left the room, if somebody decided to move out or break up with you or quit the job or just stop helping, I don't know what's going on, you could be distracted by that. And that could really hold you back, okay? If you start to believe that now everything's falling apart because that person left, then, well, yeah, they're going to fall apart. But if whatever happened and you just say, well, you know what? I guess I've just got to do more. I guess I've just got to step up. Okay? That's what you're doing, and I think you're going to benefit from that. I think there is going to be a recognition, a celebration of you. There's going to be a popularity. There's going to be an MVP status for you. Okay? Because you're kind of doing the work of two people now. Yeah? But this is very important that you stay focused on the work that you're doing, and remembering why you're doing it and what you're doing and how big this is, so that you don't get distracted by anything. Stay focused. Okay? The sloppy effort isn't going to get any results. Okay? Now the next card is that Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is a couple of things here. First of all, I think that it's kind of a detachment from the emotions, which I think is good on a couple levels. One, it's saying don't get distracted by how delicious that ice-cold lemonade is going to taste at the end of the marathon. Don't get so distracted by that. Don't get so enamored by the abundance and the luxuries and the goal that you're going to achieve. Okay, stay clear, stay honest, stay discerning. Okay, stay independent, and don't get wrapped up in your feelings of the future. Also, don't get wrapped up in your feelings about the past either, right? The Three of Swords. This, again, it's something that happened. You couldn't control this. So the Queen of Swords is trying to understand that sometimes, the SHI, sometimes that happens. It happens. Right, and the Queen understands that, and so is not, is not attached to that, isn't worried about that anymore. Okay, is ready to just look at things objectively, with a very discerning eye, not swallowed up by the emotions, seeing the emotions as data points, or data points. Okay, however you want to pronounce that word. Seeing the future, this is what I'm hoping for. This is the result that I want. I want all the good stuff. I want all the pleasure. I want that harvest to come in. I can just picture myself now celebrating with my friends. Yeah, fine. That there, background it. Okay? This thing that happened last week, okay, it's fine. Don't focus on this. Background it. You can deal with it later or not at all or whatever the case is, but this week is meant for focus and intensity. Okay. That Queen of Swords is a wonderful. This is also kind of the long-term future for you. Okay, and I think that long-term future is really one of independence. I think this is a week where you're realizing that you're capable of doing a lot. Okay, you're really strong and independent as a person, and I think that the sort of the overarching trajectory of your life here, the kind of long-term destiny, the bigger arc ahead, right, is you kind of realizing more and more what your life is meant to be, and what your role. I feel like you're kind of moving forward into a phase of more independence. Okay, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you're working with a group of people in a company or not, it doesn't matter like that. But independence as being not dependent upon anybody else. Financially independent, energetically, emotionally independent, to the point where your life is not going to be shattered because somebody else's dumb behavior, you know? So you're not codependent. This is about the independence right now. And I think maybe there's a lesson there of interdependence, especially with that Ten of Wands, if it means that you're sort of asking for help, or you're kind of stepping up and you're saying, okay, I got to be a leader here. Okay. But I think this is a really wonderful indication of the next phase of your larger destiny. Okay, that independence. Let's look at the last card here, the mystery card. This is the guidance card. This is advice. This is higher wisdom. This could be a spiritual message. What do you think it's going to be? Drop a comment for me, please. I kind of want to feel like this is the Empress. I always want the Empress, right? You're living the good life. Yeah. But this could be, something like an ace. It could be another 4. It could be a 10, right? It could be a 10 of cups. Let's take a look. Knight of Wands. Yeah. Knight of Wands, because you are stepping up and you are acting fast. This is a rush of energy. Now, I think that this is good advice too, because this is a surge of energy at the beginning that we have to make sure, and it's really the message here is like, okay, you have all this energy at the beginning of the race, but now that you're getting toward the end of the marathon, where are you getting your energy from? Did you save enough? So it's kind of like are you running out of gas already, right? Because that's what this card is like. It's very energetic at the beginning, but doesn't really know how to bring it home unless you kind of pace yourself, right? So that might be the advice this week, is like, you have to finish the race. You have to conclude what you're doing. You have to accomplish your goals. And I think this is the week where you really can at least reach a very significant milestone. Okay? But you can't let yourself burn out, right? This is a very fast force. It's a lot of momentum, but maybe it's these short bursts, right? Strike fast, but pace yourself so that you don't burn out. And so maybe this is kind of like saying, you're at that 10 of Wands already. You're kind of like you're maxed out, but you're so close to the goal. And maybe realizing how close you are to the goal, it allows you to sort of dig deep and summon like a reserve burst of energy. Like someone who's running a marathon and they're spent. You know what I mean? And but then they see the finish line up there, and then guess what? Suddenly they perk up and they have like they have another ability to sprint. It's like, where'd they get that energy from? Why didn't they use that before? So I feel like this is that reserve tank that maybe you have. And Spirit's kind of saying, this is what you need right now. This is what's going to propel you into the winner's circle, into this recognition, into this MVP status. Okay? Maybe most people would quit. They'd burn out already. And especially with that 3 of Swords, they'd say, forget it. But no, you're summoning from some unknown place this intense burst of energy that's going to allow you to step up quickly and sprint the rest of the way to the finish line, because I feel like you're almost there. This is extraordinary. I like this. I think this is perfect. We're going to do an extended reading as well. I hope you will follow us over there. Please hit the like button on this video and drop a comment. All that stuff really helps out the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't yet also, okay? I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.